Meantime, parliamentarians are outraged that the Royal Bank of Canada has closed 4 of its outlets, one in New Providence, the others on Family Islands. Janae Noel Ferguson tells us tonight that members from both sides have weighed in on this issue, calling it devastating, especially for Family Islanders.
Government taking grave exception to the decision by Royal Bank of Canada officials to close its doors at a number of locations across the country. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration Fred Mitchell argued that not only do banks provide an essential service, but also a social service for many. He noted that despite advancements in technology, human interface is still needed, and this is something he said many banks are moving away from. Now also expressing alarm was opposition leader Loretta Butler Turner.
And this is the government's banker, the government's major banker, closed down 4 banks. And I don't want to overstate the case, but I can tell you that given the responses from people from these communities, the impact of the closure of these banks is devastating on these communities. And I use that word advisedly, is devastating on these communities.
Long Island. I always tell you it's a very long island. It's named Long Island because it's long. Mr. Speaker, the Royal Bank of Canada closed down in Long Island and left 1 branch in the middle of the island in Grays. It's the only financial institution in Long Island.
Mitchell added that while Bank of the Bahamas or Commonwealth Bank may be able to fill the void, residents are forced to use web shops to replace banks. Also speaking to the challenges was the Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller.
People are using the web shops as a mechanism for transferring cash across the country because there's no other service available. And that's not what they don't want, those operations don't want to be involved in that. And they don't want to have anything to do with that. That's not their business.
To make a deposit over $3,000, you must get it approved by a manager in the bank for them to accept your money, cash, from a business. You have to get approval. And it takes you about 15, 20 minutes to get that approval.
Now, Mitchell said not only have banks made things much more difficult within the economy, but their service leaves much to be desired.
Service is deteriorating and costs are rising. You go into these banks, the lines are long out the door, the high costs, the uneven service. And the thing that gets me is they all say, oh, well, you don't need to come into the bank. You don't need to come into the bank. You can switch to debit and credit cards.
Now, a solution to the banking challenges, he said, may be to offer additional banking licenses to those who are able to facilitate banking services. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.